Welcome everyone, today I have a new Path of Exile 2 Ascension guide. In this video, we're looking into all the 12 endgame Ascension classes in Path of Exile 2 Early Access, and we'll be looking at their performance, their availability, and also the difficulty of those Ascension classes. I'll be attempting to rank those to my preference and also to my understanding of action RPG games, and we'll be going through a lot of details for those Ascension classes. So looking behind me, I have made an Excel summary of those all 12 of the Ascension classes for each of the class. And as you guys can see, I have written additional notes and also some of my rankings as regards to mobility, difficulty, and also possible creative builds coming out of those Ascension classes. So how this video will work is, on the first part, we'll look into the details revealed on the live stream about each of the Ascension class for each of the class. And then I'm going to briefly summarize my own review on those classes. And on the second part of the video, we'll briefly summarize all the Ascension classes after we had a look at them, and also start ranking them as regards to which is going to be the best league starter, which class will be the best utility, which class will be the best for summoners, which class is the best for, fun stuff, and which class is the best for killing bosses. So coming over to our first Ascension class for the Sorcerers with Stormweaver.
As a sorceress, you could become a Stormweaver, a master of the elements. Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be summoned each time you do a critical hit with a spell. With Strike twice, you can stack 2 copies of Shock for more damage, and going deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage types apply Shock. Make a Shock build from any skill. Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer and command time itself. She literally has the ability to stop time with Time Freeze. Not only that, but she has many other time manipulation abilities. Using Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a previous location, resetting her life and mana back to what it was. Or with Time Snap, she can reset all her cooldowns and cast all her spells again.
So that was the live stream video demonstration of those 2 Ascension classes. I figure it's better we watch the live stream this way, and for those of you that haven't seen it, you get a quick recap of those classes. And just to look at the Sorcerers classes, the Stormweaver is going to be an elemental class that focuses on triggering additional effects of your spells, and additional critical hit will be applied for additional elemental storms. You can apply for more shock for additional lightning damage, which will buff your lightning damage even further. And the Stormweaver class seems to be the traditional Sorcerers or the Mage class that utilizes elemental damage. I don't think there will be a major problem with this class, and usually those Sorcerers class tend to have a very stable performance in any of the league. What's more interesting to me is the Chronomancer class. This Chronomancer class is going to focus on time manipulation, and allowing us to have the ability to freeze time, teleport back in time. Having the ability to regain your life, mana, and also cooldown can be amazing. Now, there are some bosses or mechanics in the game that can dramatically change your life or put you in danger. So this class seems to be a very flexible and also very high skill based class compared to the Stormweaver. So here's the take. If you want to play a Sorceress, a spellcaster, playing Stormweaver is never bad. You just deal tons of elemental damage. But should you want to try your abilities and also your time freezing abilities, playing the Chronomancer can be quite interesting, but this can vary in terms of the degree of difficulty in playing this class. Of course, we'll go through those reviews on the second part. So just keep in mind guys, Chronomancer will be more exciting, but this can be a little harder before you get used to the class. So now coming over to the Warriors Ascension class with Warbringer and also Titan.
On the Warrior, you can choose between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power. Using Answered Call, you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems. With Jade Heritage, you can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all damage until it breaks. Warcaller's Bellow allows you to explode the corpses of your enemies. And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out. The Titan class is all about hitting big. With Earthbreaker, every slam is a chance to create an aftershock. With Crushing Impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your enemies with ease. With Surprising Strength, you can take advantage of stunned enemies to deal 40% more damage.
So that was a quick recap of the Warrior Ascension class. Right away you can see there's a disparity between the choice and also playstyle of the class. The Warbringer tends to be summoning tokens, spirits, war cries, and this has the ability to have Jade armor that reduces damage incoming. And the ability to explode corpses or reduce warcry cooldowns can be very great in terms of a party play that killing a lot of monsters or just become a utility class. And on top of that, the Warbringer can potentially be a summoning class for the warrior. Now, on the other hand, if you want to play a one-shot class, you definitely want to look into the Titan. It is quite slow in terms of animations, as we can see, but you'll be stunning enemies a lot, dealing additional damage to stun enemies, which can have applications with other classes that also stuns enemies. In terms of the degree of difficulty, I don't think Warrior will be the easiest one to play, simply because, well, they are a little slow and also clunky. They are more durable, which is a good thing, but sometimes we would like to play a fast class. And in terms of the endgame potential, I think the Warrior might have a stronger endgame if you get the right gears and uniques, but of course we discuss this on the next part. So now coming over to the two Ranger classes with Deadeye and also Pathfinder.
As a Ranger, you might choose to be a Deadeye, an expert markswoman who can take down foes with style. With endless munitions, every attack gains an extra projectile. With Gathering Winds, she gains a small increase to movement speed with every attack. But be careful, she loses them when getting hit. With Eagle Eyes, she will never miss, allowing you to stop wasting all those passive points on accuracy. Alternatively, you could become a Pathfinder, the master of flasks and poison. She can choose from one of several throwable concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of damage. A bleeding concoction will make your enemies bleed, while a fulminating one can shock your enemies, allowing you to do extra damage. Contagious Contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes, while Overwhelming Toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by. Running Assault allows her to move much more quickly while firing, while Relentless Pursuit makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies.
So starting with the Deadeye, you can see a pattern with the Ranger class. It is focused on gaining mobility and also shooting additional projectiles. And the Deadeye Ascension class definitely has all the best League starter mechanics, with speedy momentum, with additional projectiles, additional movement speed, and also not missing your shots means you don't have to build for accuracy, which will be a little costly for the stats and also choices for your weapons. So this class, the Deadeye, is definitely going to be my #1 League starter should I want to speed farm the League and also farm a lot of currencies and also items once we get a new League. But for the first League, we'll discuss whether you really want a fast League starter. In terms of the Deadeye, I think it is going to be the top choice for a lot of veteran players, simply because they have played this in Path of Exile 1, and this class is great. It is definitely going to perform very well because this class has no drawbacks. Everything about this class is going to be speedy, high damage, high movement speed, and even 100% accuracy. What more can you want, right? Now the Pathfinder will be interesting. Because you're throwing poisons, you're throwing bleeding grenades, you're shocking enemies, this class can be more utility based combined with other classes. This class also have bonus movement speed, I guess less movement speed penalty if you're shooting and also moving at the same time. And because you're immune to slow, this class can be very mobile and maybe a good supporting class if you want to play a party of 2 to 4 players. Now, in terms of the difficulty, I definitely think that I will be having a much less difficulty, but it can be a little more difficult to play the Pathfinder correctly. Now, coming over to the two Ascension class for the Witch, the Blood Mage and also the Infernalist.
The Witch can ascend into the Infernalist or the Blood Mage. As an Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion. The Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist gets hit. With Pyromantic Pact, you can turn your mana into Infernal Flame. As you cast more spells, the flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage. Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your Infernal Flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies. She can also transform into a literal demon. While in demon form, she takes an increasing amount of damage, but her cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well. So if you're planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery. She can also become a Blood Mage, a master of life and energy. All Blood Mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana, but in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life. With Crimson Power, she can gain large amounts of extra life, and with Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well. Once you've got a significant amount of life, you can use Gore Spike to make your critical hits deal incredible amounts of damage.
So that was pretty interesting, right? Now let's come over to the Infernus first. Summoning the Hellhound also reduces your damage taken because your pet will take a part of your damage. Now because we're converting mana into Infernal Flames, you don't want to spam the spells too much actually, because if you overspend your spells, you actually take more damage. Because you can transfer into a demon while having your minions, this allows for a lot of applications for a very glass cannon build for the Necro Infernal Demon Summoner. So this is definitely going to be one of the builds I'm very interested in, and you can see in the replays that the demon seems to have a higher mobility. So in the Infernalness, maybe my Necromancer Demon Summoner that I want to start the league with, because it allows me to play the Summoner, and if I want to change the build and go into a solo demon caster, this can also work. So in terms of the difficulty, this can be a little higher because you're a little more squishy while becoming the demon, and well, it's probably low to medium, I would say, because if you just play the minions, it's probably much easier compared to the Blood Mage. The Blood Mage is going to be an interesting one, because you're costing life and mana. Oh, this is like, you don't need like, you need life. So a little typo over here. So because your skills cost life and mana, what that means is you have to manage both resources at the same time. The good thing is your additional energy shield, which is a barrier, is gained as an extra life, and your spells now leeches life. So this is like a very high risk, high reward kind of playstyle. The more damage you deal, the more life recovery. The more monsters you kill, the more life recovery, but all your spells will cost life and mana. So you really want to stack a lot of life with the Blood Mage. At the same time, if you have higher life, this actually rewards you for higher damage with 1% critical damage per 20 life. And if you can get 10,000 life, that's going to be about 500% critical damage increase. And this makes the Blood Mage one of the tankiest and also the highest damage class potentially with the right gears. So this could be very broken if this was done correctly, which is going to be very, very interesting. Now coming over to the Ascension classes for the Monk. We have the Invoker as the Elemental Monk, and also the Acolyte of Chiyaya, which is going to be a Dark Monk.
Monk who is in tune with the elements might become an Invoker. With Elemental Expression, the Invoker will create waves of elemental power each time he does a critical strike. With Faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield. Choose between I am the Blizzard or I am the Thunder to specialize in cold or lightning. And I Shall Rage will allow you to turn into an unbound avatar. Each time you apply a status ailment to an enemy, you gain Unbound Fury. When you have enough, transform into an avatar to deal way more damage and inflict even more elemental ailments. Some monks choose to reach into the darkness instead. The Acolyte of Chayula can exchange their mastery of spirit for darkness, a resource that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage. The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow their mana leech to not only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well. Another node you can take is Waking Dream, which allows you to see into the domain of the Breach Demons. There you will see the Flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage.
Well, the Monk is definitely going to be an interesting one. Looking into the Invoker, this feels like a battle melee mage, and this allows you again to trigger additional elemental effects while you do critical hits. Very, very similar to our first Ascension class we had a look at with triggering additional elemental stones with the Stone Waver, right? So this is your range, I guess, caster, and here we have our melee battle mage caster. Now the Invoker can specialize in gaining additional elemental barriers or energy shield, which can allow you to have additional specialization in an elemental spell with cold or lightning. The biggest highlight for me with Invoker is gonna be the ability to transfer into Avatar as you trigger additional elemental effects onto the enemies, gaining additional attack and also special bonuses. So one of the creative builds I was thinking is to make the Avatar the Airbender. I'm sure some of you have seen the animate, and this is actually gonna be a pretty cool monk build to transform. So currently we have 2 transformation classes of Ascension classes, with Infernalist to transfer into a demon, and also the Monk or the Invoker to go become an avatar. Now in terms of the Darker Acolyte, or I call it the Dark Monk, so we can see this monk has ability to both absorb and also deal additional damage. So this is flexible. This monk is able to leech both mana and also energy shield, but on the downside you can't regain energy shield normally. So this monk is like a high damage, high sustain, and also higher stat monk. You can also gain additional buffs in terms of additional chaos resistance, which is going to be a massive stat for the endgame, additional life gain, mana, and also damage as you pick up the Flames of Chiayo. And this monk seems to be a battle monk that is going to focus on sustain and also dealing consistent damage. So this is the Darker Monk, this is going to be your Battle Mage monk, and transforming into an avatar. So both monks looks very nice. And finally, we have the 2 Ascension classes for the Mercenary with Witch Hunter and also Gemin Legionnaire. This is a very creative class, and I definitely recommend you looking into both of those Ascension classes.
The Mercenary has a job to do, but which job suits you? You might choose to become a Witch Hunter. Obsessive Rituals will give you a sorcery ward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks. With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death. The chance is doubled against demons and undead. With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky. This is great for hunting powerful bosses. And with Witchbane, you can break your enemy's concentration, preventing them from casting spells as often as they would usually do. You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh. Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill slots. Thermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you socket more and more support gems. Adaptive Capability allows you to use any color of gem without worrying about attributes, while Crystalline Potential adds extra quality bonuses to every gem socketed into your character. So those are the Ascendancy classes for the start of Early Access.
Well, that's pretty interesting, right? So let's look at the Witch Hunter first. Right away when I look at the demonstration of the skills, it is going to be the #1 boss killer and also boss farmer in the league for sure. The ability to trigger 30% of the boss's life on the first hit means you're basically having 70% life on the boss. And the ability to explode enemies on death means that you can also deal with little minions. This particular class also have reduced elemental incoming damage and also ability to reduce the monster's spell casting frequency, which is again gonna be superb against bosses, which will have a lot of spells. Now, it's not 100% sure if this will work always on the boss, but on elite and also stronger monsters, the Witch Hunter or the elite boss hunter will definitely be very strong. In terms of the difficulty, I don't think it will be too difficult because a lot of skills seems to be automatically triggering by a chance and just giving you great abilities and also damage reduction. Now, the next class or the final class is definitely a creative one. If you have played Path of Exile 1 before, you know how powerful it is to have additional gem socketing, additional maximum resist, and also additional qualities on your gems. Together with the ability to use any gems, this is gonna be the strongest endgame class to min and max. Just give you guys a brief example of the 12% gem quality. In Path of Exile 1, usually a gem with a 3 or maybe a few percent higher quality will sell for almost twice or 3 times higher in the endgame. And that 12% gem quality means you can at least do 10 or maybe 15 additional percent damage for your skills. And this is for all of your skills. So this class scales really well with endgame gears, and with stronger uniques, with stronger endgame maxed out gems and also quality gems, and also ability to use any gems without requirement, means this can be incredibly broken if you get the best gears. But if you don't have the best gears, it is probably not going to be the best league starter. It is more like, hey, I'm so good on my gears, let's try the strongest class I can build, and this will be the Gemini Legionnaire. And basically, this is for the rich guys. I'm joking, but this is quite interesting. So you have classes like the Deadeye, which is focused on cheap stats, free stats, and also additional speed, while you have classes like the Gemini Legionnaire, which allows you to basically benefit from having more resource and also better gears. So now that we had a look at all 12 of the Ascension classes, I'm sure now you guys have a rough feel of the classes. So coming to our second or the last part of the video, which I'll briefly explain my concept of the classes and which classes and also Ascension classes I think will be great and also amazing. For me, the most outstanding ones are going to be the Chronomancer, it's going to be the Deadeye, both the Blood Mage and also Infernalist are great. And finally, I'm thinking the Acolyte of Jiraiya, and also Witch Hunter and also German Legionnaire. I'm not saying the other classes are weaker, but those classes that I selected seems to have more creative build and also more unique concept towards playing those classes. And the potential for the Blood Mage to scale incredibly broken with higher life, and also the potential for the German Legionnaire to scale higher in the end game is going to be amazing. The classes that can transform should also be noted, because transformation classes can be very powerful, and this can be used to quickly burst down bosses and also monsters. So in terms of ranking, I'll definitely rank the Witch one of my top 2 classes, because both of its Ascension classes are gonna be very interesting. After the Witch, I'll rank the Mercenary, because this is great, right? You have the boss slayer, you also have the strongest end game in the game. After that, I'll probably go with the Ranger, the Sorcerer, or the Monk, because all 3 of them have its unique features. If you like a Spellcaster, going with Sorcerers or Monk is never wrong, and you can pick in terms of elemental sources or the time-stopping sources. If you want something fast, something that's going to be easy to play, the Deadeye is definitely going to be a great class. The only downside is the Deadeye will be a little squishy compared to the Warrior class. So finally, if you want something durable, something that one-shots people, something that is not going to be too fast in the game, then you can consider going with a Warrior. You can go with the traditional Titan to hit and also smack and also create aftershocks and also slams, or you can go with the Warbringer to provide yourself additional totems, additional summons, and also additional war cries. So as a final summary, if you want to play a fast league starter that is more glass cannon, I recommend going with Deadeye, and then followed by the Stormwaver, and also going with the Invoker. If you want to play with the Summoner, going with the Blood Mage, Infernalist, going with the Warbringer, and also going with the Witch Hunter can allow you to have a variety of summons. Of course, the Witch has the best and also the multiple summons, while you can summon the totems and also ballistas with the 2 other classes. Now if you want to play something new and also creative, the Chronomancer and also Acolyte of Jiraiya is definitely going to be interesting. And finally, if you want to play something a little challenging, a little non-meta or a little creative, the Pathfinder and also the German Legionnaire, and finally the Warbringer will bring you additional ways of playing. But be aware guys, if you're playing as a league starter, those final 3 can be a little difficult, because they might be not enough players making builds for those, or they might not have the strongest or the fastest builds. I won't say the Pathfinder is slow though. Pathfinder definitely have its abilities to bleed, to poison, and also has a lot of mobility. So hopefully this brings you guys a good summary, and in the future guys, I'll be updating this Excel to rank those classes and also Ascension classes into more details. And let us know in the comments what do you think about those Ascension classes, and which one or which multiple ones would you be playing for the early access or part of Exile 2.